Man, some teams are gonna improve big time.
It's disrespectful to the organization and what they do year in, year out. The AFC is going to be brutal, but I'm getting playoff vibes from these Steelers.
Now that all 32 NFL rosters are practically set and ready for showtime, let us dive into 5 NFL teams that will improve in 2023 and 5 that will take quite the step back. Improve, New York Jets. Isn't this one the most obvious? I mean, the Jets won 7 games in a tough division, mind you, with Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, and Mike White as their QBs. Well, now the Jets have a new sheriff in town. The name's Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, 4-time MVP, Super Bowl 45 champion, future Hall of Famer, already the most talented quarterback in Jets history. Seriously, what more do you really need to know? Oh, and Rodgers isn't lacking in weapons. 2022 Offensive Rookie of the Year Garrett Wilson could contend for the receiving crown with Rodgers as his new QB. Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall are only a top 5 running back duo, if not the best, and pass catchers Mecole Hardman, Corey David, plus old friends Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb will do damage for Rodgers as well. And then there's the defense, led by rising superstars Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. This group finished 4th in scoring last year despite spending an unfair amount of time on the field because, crappy quarterback play. Say hello to a return to the postseason, Jets fans, and brace yourselves for the legit possibility of your first Super Bowl parade and celebration in over half a century. Decline, Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings were by far the flukiest 13-win team in NFL history last season. They set a single-season record in one-score games with 11, including the greatest single-game comeback ever against the Indianapolis Colts in Week 15. Well, check the numbers. Any team that wins a ridiculous amount of one-score games in one season is bound to regress the next. The 2021 Las Vegas Raiders are a prime example of this. They went 10-7 with 7 of their victories being decided by one score. A year later, they finished with a woeful 6-10 record. Not to mention that many lost more than they gained this offseason. Out are Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Zadarius Smith, Patrick Peterson, and Eric Kendricks. In are Marcus Davenport, Byron Murphy, and rookie wideout Jordan Addison. Cook's departure especially hurts, and losing arguably your top pass rusher and number 1 corner when you already have a bottom 5 defense a year ago is downright terrifying. So, yeah, how much worse is this D gonna get in 2023? Minnesota could still win the wide open NFC North, but they'd be lucky to hit even 10 wins. Don't at all expect them to compete for the NFC's top seed again. 8 to 10 wins is a lot more realistic this time around. Improve, Detroit Lions. The Lions greatly exceeded expectations and finished 9-8 for their first winning season since 2017. They only missed out on the postseason because of a tiebreaker to Geno Smith's Seattle Seahawks. But the stars are finally aligned for the Lions to do something real special here in 2023. The Vikings, as we just discussed, are bound to regress, and Aaron Rodgers no longer resides in the NFC North, ridding Detroit of their longtime bully once and for all. So here comes Dan Campbell's Lions, led by the number 5 scoring offense in 2023. Jared Goff showed incredible improvement last season and should continue to shine behind one of the NFL's top offensive lines. Not having Jameson Williams for 6 games because of a suspension is certainly concerning. But the Lions will have Amon-Ra St. Brown and a dynamic running tandem in David Montgomery and rookie Jahmyr Gibbs. Even if Goff struggles or gets hurt, the Lions have one of the league's best backups in Teddy Bridgewater and dual-threat rookie Hendon Hooker. The Lions allowed the most yards last season, but the D is bound to improve this year. Brad Holmes signed 3 quality defensive backs in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Mosley, and Cameron Sutton. They also snagged Alabama safety Brian Branch in round 2, adding extra depth to the secondary. The Lions enter 2023 with a good amount of hype. Now, it's all about executing with the best all-around roster in the NFC North. Decline, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one couldn't be any more obvious. Even with the GOAT Tom Brady last year, the Buccaneers were lucky to win the NFC South, let alone finish with 8 wins. And with very limited cap space, Tampa had to settle on journeyman Baker Mayfield and 2021 second-rounder Kyle Trask as their QB competition for 2023. Yeesh. Yeah, good luck with that.
It's not how I drew my career up by any means. If I was to tell you how it would go based on the plan. I wouldn't have said that I put on 3 different uniforms in the year 2022, but that's how it happens.
The Bucs don't have any weapons outside of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Their front seven is getting old and soft, no longer the ferocious beast that we saw in Super Bowl 55. With all 3 of Tampa's division rivals looking much better on paper heading into 2023, it just looks like they're headed for a season of 4 to 6 wins, if they're lucky. Improve? New Orleans Saints. In some ways, it's kind of impressive that the Saints won 7 games last year with Andy Dalton as their primary starter. And with key starters Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Marshawn Lattimore, Eric McCoy, Marcus May, and Peyton Turner all missing significant time. Also, the 7-10 Saints lost 6 games by 1 score. History shows that they're bound to enjoy some better luck and come away with more victories than losses in one-possession games. But most importantly, they upgraded big time at quarterback by signing ex-Las Vegas Raiders QB Derek Carr to run the offense. Carr gets to play behind one of football's best offensive lines, and his set of weapons is just unfair. Kamara, Thomas, Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson, Jamal Williams, and Rashid Shaheed. As usual, the Lattimore and Cameron Jordan-led Saints defense will be close to a top 10 unit. The Saints also just happen to play in football's worst division, and only the Atlanta Falcons have a softer strength of schedule for 2023. Add up all the factors, and this New Orleans Saints team could easily win double-digit games and the division crown. Decline Las Vegas Raiders. It might feel weird to some that we have the Raiders on here, considering they only won 6 games last year, but trust us, last year's team was not as bad as it looked record-wise. 9 of the Raiders' 11 defeats were decided by 1 score. That included 2 overtime defeats and 5 losses by 3 points or less, including 2 L's by a single point. So the math says that the Raiders were more so unlucky than bad, not to mention that they had a pretty miserable schedule with no favorable stretches. That means they should play like the 2021 squad and push for double-digit wins, right? Actually, no. We have the Raiders declining on year because instead of losing a bunch of close games, we're expecting them to be right near the bottom of the league standings. We don't know what Josh Jacobs' plans are and if he returns before week 1. Either way, it's hard to envision him repeating last year's career year. Devontae Adams isn't going to put up 1,500 yards receiving again with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing him the ball either. And speaking of Garoppolo, he is injury prone and a major downgrade from Derek Carr. What, Josh McDaniels is just going to turn Jimmy G into a star now?
Get real.
Improve Pittsburgh Steelers. Following an ugly 2-6 start, the Steelers caught fire in the second half and finished the year on a 7-2 run and a 4-game win streak. Despite a 9-win season, they missed out on the postseason via tiebreaker to the Miami Dolphins. Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett had just 11 combined touchdown passes last season. Superstar pass rusher TJ Watt missed 7 games, and unicorn safety Minkah Fitzpatrick was sidelined for 2. Yet Pittsburgh still finished with the number 10 scoring defense. Well, we got news for you. Pittsburgh is going to be even better this year. For one, Pickett has to be better in year 2. He just has to be, man. He's got a dynamic receiving duo in Deontay Johnson and George Pickens, a 1,000-yard rusher in Najee Harris, and a nice security blanket in tight end Pat Freiermuth. Rookie Broderick Jones, taken in the first round, will instantly upgrade a leaky pass protection group. The Steelers signed the ageless Patrick Peterson and drafted cornerstone Joey Porter Jr., adding more depth to an already scary good defense. The sky is the limit for this group, especially if Watt can stay healthy. Decline Green Bay Packers. The Packers won just 8 games a year ago with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. So, how much worse will they be without the 4-time MVP? On one hand, the Packers do play in a wide-open division with no clear-cut runaway favorite. On the other hand, is it really fair to expect Jordan Love, he of 1 career start, to fare better than Rodgers did last year? Consider that the Packers lost not only Rodgers, but 2022 leading receiver Allen Lazard. Christian Watson looks like a star in the making, but there isn't a single proven veteran or difference maker in the pass-catching game otherwise. A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones have been a prolific rushing duo, but it helped when opposing defenses had to focus on Rodgers. Now you can expect the D to stack the box and dare Love into beating them with his own arm. We aren't deeming Love a draft bust or anything. I mean, you gotta give the man 1 or 2 years to show his worth first. But it is hard to see how Green Bay improves from 8 wins in 2023 when they're considerably downgrading at football's most important position. Improve. Seattle Seahawks. Led by comeback player of the year Geno Smith and a stacked rookie class, the Seahawks were one of football's pleasant surprises and qualified for the postseason with a 9-win campaign. Now, it's time to take a step further. Smith had a career year behind the dynamic receiving duo of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and running back Kenneth Walker. Oh, but that is not all. Seattle got arguably the best receiver of this class in Ohio State's Jackson Smith-Njigba with the number 20 pick. Seattle had the 25th scoring defense a year ago, but that promises to change. They brought back star linebacker Bobby Wagner and beefed up the pass rush by signing ex-Denver Bronco Draymond Jones in free agency. Oh, and Seattle used the number 5 pick on prized cornerback Devin Witherspoon, who joins a secondary led by star corner Tariq Woolen, as well as Pro Bowl safety Quandre Diggs, as well as Jamal Adams and Kobe Bryant. Look, there simply isn't a weakness on the Seattle roster. They can beat you through the air and in the ground game. They can overwhelm opponents with a suffocating secondary or a resilient pass rush. It all adds up to double-digit wins and a potentially very deep playoff run. That is how scary these Seahawks are. They are just way too talented to fall below 10 wins for the third straight year. Decline Los Angeles Chargers. The Bolts squeaked into the postseason with a 10-7 record, but we all know how that ended. A humiliating choke job in which they blew a 27-point lead and fell to the Jacksonville Jaguars on Wild Card Weekend. Now, one can look at the Chargers' elite talent level and the fact that they lost 5 one-possession games last year. Justin Herbert is a borderline top 5 QB in the game. So I mean, hey, why can't they be better? Well, the Chargers didn't really do much to improve a defense that finished 21st in scoring and 28th in rushing D. Herbert can play like Superman all he wants, but a mediocre defense like this one will simply not hold up in the unforgiving AFC. We're also not exactly sold on Brandon Staley as a head coach. His in-game decision-making has been painful to watch. And despite coming from a defensive background, he sure hasn't made the most of all-world talents like Derwin James, Joey Bosa, and Khalil Mack. It just feels like the Bolts are bound to underachieve and come up short in a conference that will see improvements from other clubs like the Steelers, Jets, New England Patriots, Denver Broncos, and Cleveland Browns. You just can't expect this team to do much right when it comes down to the big moments. So, should anyone be surprised if the Chargers fall below 10 wins and miss out on the playoffs for the 4th time in 5 years? I don't think so. But what other NFL teams will improve in 2023? And which ones do you think will decline? Let us know in the comment section below. Yeah, if you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.